If you get good snow, it's crystalline snow and it sparkles like diamonds under your feet, and you can break that snow and you can hear the sound of your skis swishing through the snow, and it's really a pretty effect.
It feels good. You're not running, but you're covering distance at a fast rate, and the motion is so smooth and rhythmic, and you really get into it.
Cross-country skiing is a family sport. You can pick different trails. You can be whole family, 6-year-old kid, 9-year-old kid, and you can pick the same trail to go on. You can't do that in downhill skiing too, because mom and dad always seem to be a little bit better in the 6-year-old kid. So, the kids is more or less left for their own. But the cross-country skiing, you can more or less stay together as a family and just go out and take the lunch with you and have a lunch somewhere out in the snow.
At the very beginning, we used to head off, and there was a destination, and everyone wanted to get there. Well, I got past that point where a destination is just something in your mind, and I go for enjoyment on the outing. My own experience is that I would prefer to go into an area, say a cabin or something like that, and from that spot ski out in day trips. And the reason is the delight in skiing is to travel lightly. It's a fact with snow on the ground, you literally can go places where you might have difficulty climbing over rocks, escarpments. There's generally snow around to make it suitable to get up even steeper terrain.
Often, myself and my friends, when we go out, we don't always necessarily have a destination in mind. That we'll just go off and explore an area, so that we can go back to an area, 100 different times, and each time we go out there, we'll find a different route, or we'll explore a different slope, or follow a stream and see where it goes. With this thermal activity, you can go and ski into an area where there's hot spring activity and set up camp and go and do a day's skiing and come back and soak in the hot springs. It's very sort of therapeutic. I know that it sure feels good and it's very relaxing.
Cross-country skiing seems to originate from Scandinavian countries. Some foundings recently in Norway and in Finland is claimed to be over 5,000 years old. Hunting was very common with skis those days if you read books in Scandinavia. It was maybe a hunter or fisherman was have moved around on those skis. Not maybe every person, but skis was used for transportation. Cross-country skiing was put in the Swedish Army in 1888, if I remember right. Because there were some ski clubs formed in certain battalion in Sweden and Finland at that time. In the gold rush in Barkaville, some Scandinavians have used skis. And it was looked as like very unusual people. Most of the ski clubs officially started in Scandinavian countries between 1885 and 1900. Many years ago, it wasn't for the average person, it was for, shall we say, the higher up people. It was a fashion at that time. The last 4 years, the skis have changed more, and in the last 5,000 years. We have 1.5 million people on cross-country skis in the last 7 years. It's a tremendous growth, and if we keep growing the next 7 years, we have 3 million people on skis. That's lots of skiers.
The main style in racing is time trialing. It's you against the clock, and you compare everybody's time, then you know exactly how bad or how good you've been doing.
2, 1, go! Up and 19. You take 2 loops. 4, 3, 2, 1, go!
You don't see anything. You don't see absolutely nothing. You just see the next person in front of you. That's the guy you want to pass. Make sure your style, your technique is 100%. Concentrate on your technique all the time, because that's very important.
You become very involved with the rhythm of movement itself, and you find that it is almost hypnotic. one arm following a foot, following an arm, following a foot. Your mind is sort of empty, and you don't think much except trying to maintain that rhythm.
You have to take the pain because your whole body is just one pain. Especially when you go up a long hill, that hill seems so long, and every bone and every muscle is just aching. It's not all race and it's tough. You get into some races, open race, where you're up in the front and you don't have to really push yourself to the limit, and you have time to look around maybe and watch the trees and the snow. When I go out and do something, I have to have a goal, and the goal is to next time I race to be number one.
You remember what clear the track. 37 is going to be.
That's all righty. Keep her going.
If you want to progress further in your ability, I highly recommend cross-country ski instruction. When you start approaching different types of terrain, then there are more specific techniques that will come in handy when you're trying to approach, say, climbing uphill, for example. You know, you can start by just simply doing traverses, which is just sort of zigzags up a slope. The idea is that you're changing direction is what you want to do, and there are different techniques such as the kick turn, where you approach the end of your traverse and you simply turn your lower ski around and face it the other direction, and then you turn your other ski into the same direction, and then you continue your traverse up the slope. So you're approaching a hill straight on, you can do different techniques such as a herringbone. It's called a herringbone technique because the tracks you leave look something like fish bones, I suppose. They're sort of V-shaped. There are very specific techniques too for coming downhill. There's the snowplow. The fronts or the tips of your skis are close together, and the back of your skis are about the length of a pole wide. It's a matter of shifting your weight and steering your skis as you're coming down so that you're skiing, making lots of turns when you come down. Yeah, I sort of look at the telemark technique as a fancy snowplow turn in a way. A lot of the weight is shifted to the outside ski, about 80% of the weight. It requires really feeling the turn. I think that a lot of the technique or development of your technique is in the direction of getting a nice smooth technique with a nice rhythm into it, where you're not expending energy unnecessarily so that you can go further and you can enjoy yourself more. The bindings are okay? They'll probably come out the first telemark. If I'm looking for a winter experience, I don't find it inordinate to split costs between a small group of friends and rent an aircraft that's capable of landing on the snow and going to a more remote area. Certainly a mohair day outside.
In winter, I think people feel they have to stay indoors, and they don't realize how much fun it is being outdoors. And cross-country is the only thing that I can think of that really gives enjoyment of outdoors in winter. It's a family thing, it's an individual thing. It can be anything you like it to be.